Speaking of songs, I'm going to start with the one thing. I'm going to start right up top with the thing that I hated the absolute most about this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know who directed this episode, but I should have my notes. That song, I Need a Hero by Bonnie Tyler, belongs to Shrek. It does not belong. It does not belong to Loki.
You are incorrect.
I was just going to say that.
That is a generational thing. That song belongs to the 80s, and Shrek borrowed it for a little while.
No,
it
is Shrek.
I Need a Hero during a fight scene is Shrek. That's
hold
Listen
on.
to me.
It's canon.
Listen.
Okay. And we need to go like this.
Yeah, so you're just going to remove all three of us from the screen.
Put you guys down there.
I sent you that Macy's parade, okay, where he performed it with all of these characters from the Marvel Universe. That's what it belongs to. It belongs to the 80s.
It belongs to the 80s.
We belong to the night. We belong to the thunder. And that now, for me, that song is Ricky Bobby when they're in that final foot race.
Oh my God!
Yes. Also, hey guys, welcome. Our cold
Hello, everyone. Welcome in we are in day 5 of Level Up Week. We are in our second to last show of the day. Welcome to Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. We're talking Loki, episode 1 and 2. We're going to focus more on episode 2, most likely. Oh, hi, Coco. But we are going to also probably mention episode 1 at some point. Again, Alex, you're in charge of this.
Can I do it without making the noise?
Yeah, no noise.
Okay, noise.
Spoiler alert, everyone. Spoilers. If you have not watched Loki.
Yes. And honestly, spoiler alert for the entire MCU because especially Loki is very tangential to so many. It's a hub of so many things that happen. So you have it. There will be spoilers
notes today.
Yes, notes on notes. There will be spoilers for the entire MCU and for Marvel Comics and all of that. So if you are not caught up, or if it matters, if you are not caught up but you don't care, cool. But if you are not caught up and you do not want to be spoiled, turn around and leave right now.
Yes. I
just want to say, I don't know if this has anything to do with Loki, but I'm sure.
Is it tie-in?
Is that tie-in somehow?
Is that the dawning of the TVA?
Is that the disassemble? That's all I know from it.
I have no idea, but thank you for watching. Jason Todd watching. Thank you.
Nice.
Well, we are going to get started now. We're going to start talking Loki episode 2. Let us know
on the bottom of the screen.
Oh yeah,
Not just that, but also the running banner.
Just
so
that
your time. Yeah, thanks.
That's not irritating at all.
Yeah. Can you put? Sorry, I'm gonna make notes right now. I think we should put along the bottom spoilers for Loki and the MCU on the bottom. So if somebody jumps in
all right,
in the middle of the show,
okay.
So
if you jump in, you need to know that we are talking full spoilers for Loki. So please. Don't DM me on Facebook and say I've ruined the Bad Batch for you, because we mentioned it at the top of the show. So, getting started. One really fun note that I did have about that song.
Those exclamation points didn't work. Sorry.
One, it reminded me of the MCU. They finally got to use that song. Did anyone see the fan edit for Ragnarok that included that song?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So 1 yes and 3 no's. But
Every I Need a Hero edit of a scene anywhere, like the Kylo Ren in the Rise of Skywalker.
That one I've seen. Yeah.
They just do so well.
But I also thought how great it would be if they included that, because that was on the soundtrack for Footloose, and that is Star-Lord's favorite film.
Is it still the best movie of all time? And then Iron Man says
it never was.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, it never was.
Spider-Man never was. Yeah, it was a really old
Spoilers
movie from
for the
MCU.
Spider-Man says
it's right below you.
Yes.
Spider-Man disses Footloose.
Loki and Footloose. If you've not seen Footloose, warning. I guess we should also go around and say hello. My name is Paul. I'll be sort of guiding you and hosting you through the sacred timeline of the 1 hour allotment that we have for this show. Autumn?
I do want to say this is not a show with rewards, because we don't want to make people get spoilers on a show that they haven't seen yet in order to potentially get a reward. So there will not be rewards for the show. So if you are just here to check for rewards and you do not want to get show spoiled, you do not have to stay. There will not be rewards during the show. This is Let Your Spoiler Sideshow, which is its own series that goes on through whether there's an event or not. And so this is not a reward show. You good? Everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Well, I'm of course joined by Autumn, Alex, an unknown variant, and new to Let Your Spoiler Sideshow, Cody jazz variant?
Yes, the jazz variant of Cody. Yes.
All right, so let's go around here. I don't know who wants to get started, but comparatively to episode 1, what did we think of episode 2?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I liked it more. I thought the humor was a little more natural, and I didn't like how much of episode 1 was recap, even though I expected it. A lot of episode 1 was Loki being force-fed his emotional development and all of the character growth that happened over many films. And while I understand that he couldn't just be Avengers crazy glorious purpose Mewling Quim Loki like the whole show, and it would be like a Catch Me If You Can type situation, that wouldn't work. I also wish that like some of that growth could have been more organic, and episode 2 really succeeded in that, like a lot with the I see a scared little boy and like Loki actually suffering in real time consequences of his actions, of like trying to trick Morbius and like all of the this isn't about you stuff that he had to go through. I just thought it was better for his emotional arc and the narrative as a whole.
I did, she liked the emotion, but
how we get there. I was the opposite. Are you the opposite too, Paul?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm the opposite. I like that they wrapped it up because yes, it's Loki's character and it is not about him. In my head, I'm like, yes, the story is the 2012 Loki, but Hiddleston's already done all that. And we have already been through all of that. And so I think it's sort of showcased more along the lines of like how much Loki is willing to put aside his emotions and his feelings and sort of just move on. Like, we even see later in the episode when he's just like, 9,719 people dead. Sorry about that. He's like, yeah, very sad. I think that if they were to drag that out entirely, I think that would that would be like a force-fed emotional plot that like just didn't need to be there and is very off character for Loki. We got character development from Loki in very big moments in the MCU. And this show is going to really spin off into huge moments in the next couple phases. So I think they're like, we need to wrap this up. And that was actually my favorite part of episode 1 was that like, this is the first show that felt like phase 4.
Yeah.
Like the tone, the color, like even some of the dialogue that they're using. Like, I mean, Jazz, if you guys are reading comics, I know Jazz has read a lot of Loki comics. A lot of just the real big buzzwords that we get in Loki comics is there that was not included, I was going to say, I don't want to spoil, but this is a whole spoiler sideshow. I think, they needed, like you said, they needed to establish more of the TVA's omnipotence.
I forgot to mention that I will be pulling your comments on screen. If you guys want to participate in this conversation, please feel free to do so. I will pull your comments up on screen because this is a conversation not only with the 5 of us, but also with you guys as well.
Okay.
I was going to ask, and I'm asking for a quick hot take from everybody in the audience. Did you prefer episode 1 or 2, or did you like them both the same, or did you like neither? I know I have my opinion on it, but Krista, what did you think?
I loved both. With the first one, I loved just like kind of like my favorite moment was the like, am I a robot or am I not situation? Because I just thought that was like, I thought that was almost like an icebreaker to kind of show us what the tone of the entire show is going to kind of be like.
And especially because
it was because I mean, Loki really didn't even know who he was for more than half of his life. So, I mean, that was kind of a moment where he's like, of course I'm not a robot. And then he was like, wait, am I? So I loved that. And I loved in the second episode, just like the kind of like buddy cop situation that was kind of developing there. The salad was awesome. That was great. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, that was, and especially because it took such a complicated sort of thing for some people to understand and made it super simple. Like, yes, I'm ruining the salad by oversalting it, but in the end, it doesn't matter because I'm ruining it even more by dumping this juice in it. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. I'm interested to see how it's going to continue from how it ended off in the second episode.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think, Alex?
I don't know. I think I'm with Jazz on. I liked episode 2 more than episode 1. I get what you're saying about, Paul was saying and you were saying about wrapping it up in the thing. I mean, but I don't know. I feel like just because I've watched everything so many times that I'm like, this is not for me. So for me, I was like, I kind of moved past that. But seeing him cry was upsetting. But then at the same time, I got mad because I know Jazz is going to kill me because she loves Loki. But I'm like, I also get mad because I'm like, he's a psycho murderer, entitled, spoiled brat who found out that, his life wasn't what he thought it was and decided he's going to kill everybody and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's a terrible person. So I'm like, he's crying. I feel bad. But then I'm like, you know what? Screw you, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's our one curse.
I have to say, I absolutely loved the first episode. It was such it opened a whole new door to this entirely new thing. And
Literally.
It was so, and because I have not read the comics, for me, this was like, let's take this whole entire story and look at it on a completely different level. Let's introduce a different dimension, for lack of a better word, and a whole new set of rules where everything is completely different. And it makes this massive story that we've watched for the last, how long? 2 decades?
Become
like 16, 17 years.
16 years. Yeah, we've
Really?
watched this massive, the Avengers story, like each individual superhero story felt big within its own self. And then you've got this sense of like, now we're putting it all together in the Avengers. That feels really aggressive and exciting and adventurous, of like this new thing that we haven't done in the movies before, where we're going to take all these different stories, bring them together in this bigger story. And then you take that and you bring it into the world of the Thanos arc, and that makes it even bigger. And now, so you think that Endgame and Infinity War and all of that is like as big of an epic story, as you can possibly experience. And now this takes that and makes all that small, especially when you look at the Infinity Stones being paperweights. It's like the thing that you thought was this massive, epic story is actually so inconsequential in this new world. So it just keeps making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So the first episode, I was just blown away. I absolutely loved it. I loved his breaking down of this character of Loki, like breaking him into nothing, to where he saw the consequences of his behaviors and he was just nothing. And he had to like start from there. So the second episode, I was a little bit let down because I was like, you can't compare with the first one to me. It was such a new, huge thing. So the first half of the second episode, I was like, all right. And I don't tend to get bored easily. I tend to like, I'll eat up whatever entertainment. Whatever entertainment you want to give me. I don't have super high standards, but I was kind of bored. But then I went back and watched it the second time, and I was, enthralled the whole way through again. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Like with the cat mug.
Yes.
Speaking the truth in the comments today.
So I absolutely think the cat was a flirkin whose sole purpose was to protect this clerk from people who were going to be problematic.
I hope there are more flirkins. Yeah. Big flirkin fan me.
Yeah.
So I think we'll maybe go chronologically here, if that's even possible with this show. Well, so we start with the Ren Fair, which I thought was awesome, because there's a bunch of really specific nods to that. I think, like, some people are speculating that they had started with the Ren Fair because when Stan Lee was originally writing Thor, he didn't really understand how to like capture that character, like what was Asgard like. Obviously Asgard existed in lore previously, but what was it like? And he's like, I don't know, Shakespeare. And he sort of set everything in that era, and so that is not confirmed by any means, but that's what I think. That's why I think they probably set it, in that particular era. And Amy Chase, who is a huge Thor and Loki fan, actually wrote up our note. So she had a really interesting note here, is that I also love Oshkosh Bagosh. But Oshkosh, Wisconsin, where the Ren Fair takes place. This is a nod to the birthplace of Mark Gruenwald, the legendary Marvel editor who was the inspiration for Mobius M. Mobius, because of how strictly and famously Mark Gruenwald, kept track of Marvel Comics continuity. Mobius was created by Walt Simonson as a nod to Gruenwald, and the TVA appeared in the first Thor comics. So that's probably why they set it in this whole era. I just thought that was really interesting.
Is it also a nod to Mobius strip? The thing that's just infinity?
Yeah.
Forever and always.
Just making sure I'm picking up what you put
one of the things that I think I love the most from that Ren Fair scene is when you actually get Loki in, and this is sort of where I liked Mobius a lot. Like, this is where his I think he starts flexing his muscle. Is any other character in any other MCU film would have fallen for that Loki plot. They would have easy, I think. And I like that they're taking all of these very nuanced and sort of expected things that we expect from Loki, and they're just like, nah, that's not it. And I think they're sort of just doing away with them, because again, we've, like I had mentioned earlier with like some of the emotional plot of it, it's like we've seen this before, we've seen this from Loki, and so they're sort of just moving forward here.
This is an interesting theory by Jeff over on Facebook. I think that'd be cool, but I'd also be a little disappointed because it would be a rehash of WandaVision with Agatha being there and then the villain. But they could also do something really cool with that.
I've also seen theories that the Judge is one of the Timekeepers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a
the
full.
other two aren't around.
I have. We had asked earlier in our Facebook group, Let Your Spoiler Sideshow, people to post some theories, and we got some good ones. I have a really crazy one that I know is probably not true, but I'm really, really hoping. Yeah, and again, I can already see the name sort of in the comments here of Kang the Conqueror. I think he will play into this show, but I don't think we're gonna get Kang walking around at all. Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It does resemble Jonathan Majors, and at various points, some of the other ones also really resemble Doctor Doom. They just
really
do. But so sort of moving on to like Loki and the TVA in general. The question that I was really curious about. Where are my other notes here?
They need to go into the TVA more. I hope that they do. I hope that's the direction they're going. Is let's learn more about this.
Well, I mean, they did the whole. Check off, you can't mention a gun and not bring it back on stage type thing with the files that were classified.
Right.
We're like, that's classified. Yeah, that's classified. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to see those eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of my notes are things that annoyed me, which is funny. Is that surprising at all?
No, that's not surprising for you.
Also, if the Timekeepers are the Watchers, and what if? Just call different things in different places?
No, I don't know. I'm thinking one thing. I'm sure this is what everyone else is thinking. I don't want to say it. I don't want to be the one who breaks it open and then I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
It was all a dream.
There's three of them, right? There's three of them, right? I feel like the Living Tribunal is the next Mephisto, where I'm just going to be seeing the Living Tribunal everywhere.
Yeah, and I would probably lean more into it being the Living Tribunal than the Watchers. The Watchers are a very different type of omnipotence.
They're hands off.
Yeah.
All right, and weren't there Watchers in the Guardians, in one of the Guardians cameos with Stanley? Yeah, so.
Yeah, but the Watchers, their big thing is hands off. What do you say?
Mike's asking us if there are any comic tie-ins that we see so far. I mean, obviously there's going to be. What is the? Is it?
He's got so many notes he's lost.
Loki, Agent of Asgard specifically.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Loki, Agent of Asgard specifically. I just saw that because. Are we gonna say her name? They kind of spoiled her name for us.
This
Sylvie.
This is full.
Sylvie. When they zoom in on her, you can see she has the broken horn.
Loki,
Agent of Asgard #1.
So the question is she Enchantress? Is she Lady Loki? Is she none of the above? Is she amalgam of the two of them? I've seen some videos that are guessing that she's a merging of those two characters for the purpose of the story.
In the first episode, actually, that kid in Italy with his super sharp cheekbones, I thought that was Kid Loki, and I freaked out for a little bit because when they in episode 2 where he was like the kablooey, and I was like the gum. Oh my god, is it Kid Loki? Are we gonna? And then I because we know they're building towards the Young Avengers, right? So I was I was so messed up about that for 5 minutes, and then obviously it didn't end up being him, but I'm already looking for those comic tie-ins. I finally looked at with Sylvie.
Dark Reign, right?
Yeah.
It's Dark Reign when
There's
they first appeared.
So much to be gained from freeze frames on this show.
So
much. You could just watch the whole show and then go back and step through it a frame at a time. And it's like you're reading a comic book sort of, or solving a puzzle, or watching Lost, or you know what I mean? Putting it all together. It's interesting.
And I actually pulled some stuff. I actually pulled some screenshots for the show because there are so many little nods constantly to this show. So one of the first ones was this one that we see, after they're sort of looking
what
for
is that?
372. I know what that is.
Tell them, Autumn.
It's a reference to the issue, the comic book issue, which was the first appearance of TVA, right?
Of the TVA and Justice Peace, who B-15 is like loosely based off of.
So, I only know that from watching other breakdown videos. I didn't actually. I wouldn't have just known it.
However, you get.
I was like, wow.
Way to get the information.
That's actually a question I have for everybody. When I watch these kinds of shows, including WandaVision and then Falcon and Winter Soldier, I want to know, how do you guys consume this? What I mean is, what I do is I watch it the day it comes out or the day after, whatever it is, and then I immediately go and I watch. I have 3 different channels that I go to watch their spoilers, their breakdowns, their Easter eggs, their theories. I go watch each of them, and then I go watch the episode again. So like that can all be in one day, or it can be over the course of the week. And then I go into the spoiler group and I read everybody's like ideas. Do you do all that, or do you just watch it once and one and done? Like, how do you guys here with me and you guys in the audience, how do you consume these kinds of shows?
I mean, I watch it, and then what I'll do, instead of watching like videos, I'll go on to like, I'll read articles, different articles about it, and people's like their breakdown, and like a lot of the times they'll have little theories in between and be like, oh, this ties to this is from this. And I'm like, oh, and then sometimes I'll rewatch it after that, after I kind of understand the things that I should be looking for.
Right. Somebody asked which ones I watch, so I'll find it while you guys talk. I'll find the names of the shows I watch, and then no promo, but I'm just going to tell you,
Jess?
Anyway.
I'm pretty tuned into Twitter. So like the day an episode of something drops, I won't go on Twitter or anything, and then as soon as I'm done, I'll go and see if my friends are talking about it. I don't watch video essays. I don't really have the patience for most of them, and I don't like most of the hosts. So Autumn, if you have good recommendations, I'd go more into them. Yeah, but it's usually like I watch one, and then if there's a particular scene where I didn't catch a reference, because often I do, but if I didn't, I'll go back and I'll watch that scene. And like that scene in WandaVision where Vision broke the fourth wall and looked at the camera, I went back and watched that once someone told me that he did, because I was like, I need to really relive that. I was too wrapped up in the episode. All the other stuff, like if people put the tweet out with the reference and show the screenshot like you just did, I don't feel the need to go back and watch it.
Right. Rosie and Luis Esqueva said, I tend to watch the entire series once, like a film screening, and then rewatch certain episodes that interest me further. So that's interesting, because like I don't think I could do that. And, you know, if I'm going to go back and watch WandaVision, like I'll only watch episode 2 and episode 6. Like I would have to rewatch the entire series. But maybe that's just my completionist brain that's gotten me in trouble with comics.
Elsa should watch it at midnight. Like, boom, right away midnight. Then watch it again before I sleep. Then watch it a couple more times before the next episode. Then all of them before the finale. That's cool.
Nice. Oh my God.
So like in WandaVision, does that mean you were watching like the whole thing? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I got the names of the ones I watch, my favorite ones, in order. I watch Heavy Spoilers, that channel. I watch Screen Crush, and then I watch New Rock Stars. They're all lovely and delightful. Right. I don't always agree with them, but I always enjoy it. Always. They're a lot of, I just like their approach and their personalities and the way that they break it down, and I think they're great. My favorite is definitely Heavy Spoilers. He's a big
I usually watch Let Your Spoiler Sideshow, and that's where I get most of my spoilers.
Yeah, my first resource is Let Your Spoiler Sideshow every Monday and Friday, right here on Sideshow's channel.
I legitimately only watch these shows once, unless there's really something I want to get, which is like I was taking a tally. I watch it once, and then I'm just like, I'd rather discuss it with people who have thought about it differently than I have, and that's how I learn.
This is important. Anthony says if he watches it without his wife, then he says I'm cheating on her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I usually watch Loki with somebody else, and I didn't this week. I just watched it so that I could do this, and I was like, oh no.
I think the only channel that I watch is when new rock stars will do their or him or them, if it's, I don't know if it's a bunch of them, but they do like their minute by minute breakdown. Yeah. Because I don't really like
I love the
theories.
Easter eggs, though.
I like Easter eggs. I don't like theories because I'm like, most times a lot of it's like clickbait, and they're just like, you know, Mephisto confirmed type trash.
Yeah, Heavy Spoilers does fun Easter eggs. I like his a lot, and he also he pokes fun at his own theories all the time, which I really like.
Yeah, and that's great if you can have like a humor about it.
Lauren,
one humor.
Just one.
It's funny, Lauren. To me, they add a lot more fun to me, but I totally understand why it doesn't. It depends on who you're watching. I think if you have people that are very sure about themselves and they're letting they're letting the people know what's really happening. I find that really, off-putting. But if there's people who are like, that was fun, let's nerd out, let's talk about some ideas, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to move on to maybe more of a character focus.
Yeah.
And I think because someone had brought it up earlier, and one of the characters that I think is flying under the radar and is going to be, for me, it's flying under the radar, and she's going to play a huge part is Renslayer.
Mm-hmm.
So she is the judge.
Yeah.
Wilson has to
Yeah.
Yes, and so because you can even see on her computer, she has different access to what they're seeing in the the main room where Casey, where Pillboy is.
Yeah.
I don't see that Pillboy, but
she's
every time I see
recording when she's with Mobius that she's recording him. Did you notice that?
Oh,
that
the
machinery on the wall is going. She's recording their conversation.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that either.
I didn't notice it either. It was Heavy Spoilers that pointed it out, and I went back and I was like, "Oh, he's right. He's recording it."
Yeah, and the pen thing, seemed like it would be something.
Franklin D. Roosevelt High School.
But is that a Dwight Schrute pen or is that a regular pen? Is there is it recording anything?
And
is
also
there a duck on his desk?
The fact that there were those rings on her coffee table, and she says they're all you. I have a feeling that there's other hymns,
right?
There's other hymns that are out there, so it's technically they're all him, but he feels jealous.
That's a good point.
See, I was thinking that he's completely aware that he keeps getting reset or something. He keeps getting too close or too familiar with her, and the Timekeepers need to keep rebooting her. And she's constantly reminding him, hey, remember, they are monitoring every part of this investigation.
Yes.
Alex
Hamilton, you should come on. She's got
ideas. Come on, Alex.
Opinions. Come on.
I'll send her
the link.
Super interested in their relationship. Their dynamic is so weird and friendly, but business tense and he there's no insecurity in terms of him looking up to her and being her underling, but they're still kind of friends, and he implies that they're the only he's the only analyst that she meets with at that level. But there have to be other people. Right, there have to be other analysts. That's what I was thinking too. He can't be the only one who's at that level of whatever his role is in the TVA. But he seems like the only one.
I think the fact that there's so many rings that he doesn't seem to have memory of them, and she says they're all you. Those are three very important aspects. Don't know how yet, but they're very important.
This is why time travel shows are
I could never write a time travel show because I'm just I'm going to get actually to my grave.
So much. In the first
I'm
3
already
minutes,
seeing.
they'll be like, that's not how clocks work. Oh, you're right.
He is Mobius. He is never ending, right?
One of my favorite tropes in time travel stuff that I think Loki does perfectly is when you have these super high octane futuristic places and they have such rudimentary technology.
That's on my list of things that annoyed me.
Doesn't even have two types of people. She did. So if I remember correctly, Renslayer was what Death is to Thanos. Renslayer is to Kang, the Conqueror. So there's also, I believe, is it? Yes, it's in Avenger Forever by Kurt Busiek and George Perez. There's actually a storyline in there where I think a lot of this is from. Where
is that the one where they pull the different people from the different Avengers Forever? That is such an amazing book. Sorry.
And
anyway.
Kang kills a bunch of different versions of himself from different timelines because he wants to be the only one for Renslayer.
Yeah,
he wants to be the only Kang. So it's wild.
That kind of comes,
John.
Right, and that could kind of play into this.
Well, the thing is, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it kind of plays into this where I think a big plot point is going to be everything that we don't know so far about Renslayer. I I have my theories about the Timekeepers, and we'll maybe get into that in a little bit later. But I don't think she's a Timekeeper, but I do think she knows like where they all are or they aren't.
Helen had said it also. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
She's gatekeeping the access to like, and like maybe it's like one of those shows where like they're dead and she's
that's what I keep thinking is they're not there anymore.
They're gone.
Someone
and she's like
else
trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Like in what was that show? Preacher. Like in Preacher.
Yeah.
Where we're like, oh yeah, he's totally just kidding, he's gone.
Yeah,
because if you didn't have those figureheads, if they weren't there, the whole system would fall apart because it's based on everyone believing. Because Mobius said it's real because I believe it's real. So you know that everybody else also feels that way. So it doesn't matter if they are real or not, if they're still there or not. Whoever's in charge has to make everybody believe that they are there because everything falls apart otherwise.
Right.
I feel like they're kind of cultish in that aspect. Like they're very cultish
because
they just believe and they just go and they commit mass genocide literally all the time. Like they're like, they are wiping out an entire timeline of universe where people exist. Those are different. There was like a Doctor Who episode with where like there's two different Karen Gillans. And like he's like, well, I'm gonna go back in time and stop you from existing. And she's like, I don't want to. I want to be alive. I'm a person. And so they're wiping out an entire universe every time they do a reset.
Yeah.
Because they're I believe this. This is right.
They've killed all those extra Lokis. That was a fun thing where they like pulled them all up on the hologram.
That was cool.
They have no qualms about using their little death sticks.
Murderers.
To like
prunes.
That's
pruning.
It reminds me of the thing in
in
Thor Ragnarok. The stick that the Grandmaster had too.
What they're doing with Loki, that means they have the capability of doing that with everybody that goes through their system. They could show them the error of their decisions. They could show them the consequences of what they do in the future. They have unlimited resources, it appears, in terms of personnel and staff. They could do those things. What they're doing with Loki, they could make everybody a useful member of their community, but they opt not to. They just murder people and call it pruning. So it's some culty stuff.
Like why was the Avengers time travel okay?
Yeah,
and that's approved.
Somebody asked that later. Yeah,
right. Like Loki breaking out of it.
Remember, Mobius said it's not about approved or disapproved. It's about which one is the right one. But who's to say?
Who's to say it's the right one? Because
they are. That's
what I'm saying is
problem is the Timekeepers
his life is a result of what the Avengers did. So it's a clear result of something that they thought this is okay and this is right. And this is a result of that. It's wrong. It doesn't make it
right. And I'm also thinking, I'm thinking about so time doesn't exist or pass the same way in the TVA, and Loki is a variant. But when he jumps out of the TVA, isn't that making a splintered timeline? I know shoddy whatever superhero science whatever, but he is a variant. So anything that he is doing outside of the TVA is not supposed to happen according to the Timekeepers because he shouldn't exist according to the Timekeepers. So I'm what's
So that's okay. If we're halfway through our Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. Also, Alex, flash it again in case people are just joined us.
People,
One more time.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
We're talking Loki, and basically anything MCU, but specifically Loki, episode 1 and 2
and Footloose and Shrek.
And Footloose and
anything
Shrek.
having to do with we need a hero.
Oh,
Major
that's true.
spoilers.
Leo says Avengers cleaned up after themselves. Loki wouldn't have.
But he's still the result.
Everyone except Cap did.
Everyone except Cap. Everyone except Cap. But he's still, his actions and his existence is the result of whatever bad choices they made. So there's no difference to me.
Right. And they even mentioned, I think that he even brought that up in the first episode and they said, oh, well, that's approved and yours wasn't. Yeah. So basically they're determining what's okay and what's not.
Well, I forget who it was, it said, what if Loki is the one who's running the show, which would mean that would potentially play into this whole thing of if there's the Loki calling the shots, he could not want his variant to get too close to find him. So he could be the one that's saying all these things to keep him away from discovering himself.
True.
And but the one thing I do know is that the other WandaVision had plenty of things that at the time was what? This is insane. It doesn't make any sense. And it all did make sense. So I have faith. I have faith in the story.
Oh, yeah.
in the storyteller.
Wait a minute. What if it's Agatha all along?
What if it's
Mike Vale brings us, to a good point here. He says, Alex, what about all those time charges that that Loki sent out? Where are they going? Sorry if I'm jumping ahead. I know that, and I brought those.
Yes.
Why am I the only
Yeah,
one with the
I was
answers?
gonna say,
And I
watched
brought
the
them all.
whole detailed breakdown of where they were all going.
So,
you go.
So first, we'll talk about all of them.
You do
So
it.
first,
I don't remember them.
We're gonna take a look at what everyone saw. When the two guys were like, we have a code 000. So this is what we saw here. So we've got
those are
March
all
31st,
significant events.
Lisbon, Portugal, which apparently is around the time that Christopher Columbus had come. He had found India, North America. We've got April 23rd, 2301, which is Vormir, which is of course where you've all seen Endgame. Also, that's when Endgame came out, was on the 23rd. Fun fact.
But 2301.
Yeah, that part's a throwaway, but Endgame actually came out on the 23rd. Cookville, USA. I don't know what that means, or Thornton. And then of course Asgard.
I do know Cookville.
Oh, what was that?
Cookville, there was a tornado that happened, and it was a damaging thing, but it wasn't completely devastating. And I think they're saying in this timeline it was
completely devastating.
Yeah. So it's a real life thing that actually happened, but it wasn't catastrophic. It was a thing that happened, and it was bad, but not.
And I actually have the screenshot of Renslayer's computer, which she saw. But one of the things that's interesting is you hear them constantly classifying a lot of these events. Like, for instance, where we see at the Roxxon cart, is it Roxxon cart?
Rox cart.
When you've got in 2050 or 2051, the huge storm, basically the last set piece for the show, that is classified as a Class 10 event. And so, you think that's the worst. But Asgard, with Asgard blowing up at during Ragnarok that we see, also fun. They say codename Revengers.
Yeah.
That was fun. That's a Class 7, and then they show some different ones. So the Class 1 would be the absolute worst.
Right.
So it gets worse as the numbers get lower.
Yeah. So a Class 1 would be like a multiversal threat.
Multiple planets, multiple dimensions, destroyed.
Because on the notes for the the last set piece where they're in Alabama with the storm, it says Class 10 and it says description because the planet is still intact afterwards.
Right.
Or after Asgard, it's total
nobody
planetary
survived
destruction.
it. Nobody who was there survived. There's no survivors, but the area is still intact.
I thought
sorry. So here is
American
here's
records.
Renslayer's computer. What we've got here on 12/27, right before Christmas. Ego, of course, which leads us to believe that he was planting those seeds in the ground 700 years before he met Peter's mom.
Yeah.
So this is a fun thing that I did for you, Autumn. So Titan, right? So this specific scene in Titan is, of course, when Thanos takes over and basically kills half of their population. It happened on October 13th, 1982. Now, what was happening on Earth on October 13th, 1982 with the number one song, Jack and Diane by John Cougar Mellencamp?
Nice.
Now I want to see him sort of destroying his planet to that song.
A little ditty, if you will.
Ironically, the number one movie the week of October 13th, 1982, An Officer and a Gentleman.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thanos was both.
Thanos was both. So, So we see some really interesting ones, and then we see Hala there, which is no, that's not the Nova Corps. That's the Zendarian. No,
no, that's a Nova Corps from Hala.
Is it? Yeah, is it them? Okay.
It's the Kree. It's Star Force.
Right. But to answer Mike Fiala's question, all of these locations are places that are veering off from the sacred timeline. So these are where all of those bombs that you see got sent.
So that's in his movie is called what?
The Multiverse
of Madness. It's gonna have Wanda. I'm so
excited.
Why didn't I think of
you, Amy.
Thank you.
Amy.
Kree Star
Amy,
Force.
why are you here?
I mean,
anyway,
seriously. Jasmine said it first, but I mean, Amy is backing you up,
Yeah.
which
Amy and
is
I are
what I
on
need to
top
be
of
done.
like the Kree and the Skrull and everything. Amy
Yeah.
and I want the Young Avengers to happen so badly. We're just like pushing for Teddy and everything, and we had a little bit of Billy. Like I'm so excited for that phase once we get there.
That's gonna be awesome.
So
the question that multiple people have is why does the last one's blank, has no location?
I don't know.
Maybe it hadn't reached
Mystery.
it.
It's not for no
Were they-
reason.
What was the year again? Bring that
Were
up.
they like the
1999.
trajectories?
Oh,
Were they
that was-
trajectories, or were they like once they
So
were recorded
I think
being
that's
there?
hour and minute. We've got the exact date there, and then that's probably just their cataloged event number on the left.
Yeah.
And the
So
location.
we don't know the location.
And then the other one, if we're looking at that one again, Vormir,
Where's our code
Lisbon,
breakers?
Thornton, and Asgard. And there's a
That's
couple of
so
other
many
ones.
branches.
Yeah, there are a couple other ones that exist. One in Portland, randomly enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But that one's in like 1700s, I think.
Yep.
And then
The dream of the
some
1790s.
some other locations, but they're all
He'll buy
significant.
CDs and sell your used CDs.
There was one probably for like, was it 2014 when the last Circuit City went out of sale?
Yeah.
It went out of business. Yeah, I'm just. Well, I guess we can maybe start thinking theories, because now I want to talk Timekeepers.
I'm sorry, Amy.
And we have the
theories.
exact opposite of the spectrum. Does not fit.
Linda,
Right after
God.
And Amy picked up on my Portland
I was gonna say,
reference, the dream of
I'm,
the 1790s.
Unfortunately, Young Avengers was in that Marvel era where I was only reading like the weirdest Image books and some DC. So I missed Young Avengers, but
guys,
I've got the Kieran Gillen
it's
stuff.
happening.
Yeah, again, if you're
Yeah.
if you don't want to get into all of the craziness that is Young Avengers, just read Gillen and McKelvey's run. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you need.
And
Leo said it just wasn't
happening,
filled in
so
yet.
there's
He
no
said we
reason.
just
There we
there's
go.
no
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
it
just
names
not
is
filled
not.
in yet.
It hadn't
But
gotten
also,
there.
I don't think it would have been that way by mistake. I think there's a reason why in the story, like the time that we saw it, it was at that point of being filled in,
Yeah.
because it's
Right.
not for us to know yet.
So
Oh,
I think we'd already sort of touched on this, but now I really want to get into this with everyone there, and of course everyone on the panel. My biggest question is, are the Timekeepers real? And if so, like, are they dead? Because I'll start with why I'm asking this in the first place.
Okay.
I think that the Timekeepers exist and they are real, but they're somehow either they've been killed by Kang the Conqueror or are dead. And the entire sort of was it the multiversal war that we see from Miss Minutes in the very beginning?
It's BS.
And saying like, hey, we are inevitably leading back to this. I think that for some reason that may be like their way of shoehorning in the first Secret Wars and saying like, oh, this is what this is, and that it could be an amalgamation of Secret Wars 1 and 2, the original, and then the next Secret Wars, which may lead to everything, and Battle World and everything that we're getting, is all of these fractured timelines, and the Avengers and everyone's sort of very loosely quilting all that together and inadvertently creating Battle World. And I think, basically what we saw in Endgame, them traveling back to fix everything, will be an entire phase, like, in and of itself. Just because, I mean, they've even said, Bob Iger said, he's like, oh yeah, I know how Loki ends. And this changes everything for the next, like, 10 years of the MCU.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh, okay, old Loki won.
Oh, wait,
This
hold
is
on.
the Timekeepers. Possibly bring us some
See,
Miles.
what if this splitting of the
I would
timelines
cry.
I would
Oh,
leads
wow. Yeah.
So remember that the splitting of the timelines leads to an almost end of the universe, right? An almost end of everything. And then they prune it down to one. What if this splitting is the splitting that they cured in the beginning? You know what I mean? Like, what if this happened more than once? Mobius strip. It keeps happening.
Yeah.
It keeps going on.
I think
Well, and
Miss
I'm-
Minutes is a much bigger character than just Clippy. I think Miss Mobius.
Oh
is
yeah.
there's something. I mean, Miss. What's her name? Sorry, Miss Minutes.
This
Yeah.
Is a much
Miss
more
Minutes
impactful than.
so it's Renslayer, Miss Minutes, and who's the third to make the timekeeper? They're the timekeepers. and
They're the
stuff.
Timekeepers. And
No,
the,
it's
and the
what's his name?
librarian.
The clerk. What's his name? The clerk.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
Oh,
boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Casey?
Casey. Yeah.
Casey. Yeah.
Casey.
Yeah.
So the Casey thing, right, with the Infinity Stones, right? So this is why
Yeah.
this is where my brain went with the Timekeepers and the whole the Living Tribunal. So in the Infinity War comic from the 90s, the Living Tribunal was actually able to disable the Infinity Stones from working together.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have the power to just make a call to shut down Infinity Stones. And so now here they are with power to shut down the Infinity Stones. That's where my brain went with that, and that with Casey and everything. Because like, here's all these Infinity Stones that just don't work anymore.
Right.
I think Miss Minute is real, because why would she dodge being hit by a magazine? If she has nothing, like, why would you dodge that unless you have a sense of self-protection, autonomy, because you are something other than Clippy? And for those of you who are youngsters, Clippy was a character that showed up on your computer. It's like, I see that you're trying to write a document. Would you need help?
Help me build a resume.
Yes.
Oh wait. Yeah. So sort of continuing with that, I think that, I mean, Josh, you meant that. Yeah, I understand like what the Timekeepers are, and they have been killed before, multiple times. Pillboy,
poor guy.
Poor guy's still just in that bank vault, or he's still just in that safe.
He's still in the safe.
I can't believe people don't know who Clippy is.
Yeah. Go look up Clippy. Microsoft Clippy.
I'd be like, what was happening in the early?
I mean, it's there you go. That's Clippy. I mean, that's basically who Miss Minute is, except Miss Minute, I believe, has an agenda, has AI, has a point of view, and is somebody that is somebody, not a Clippy.
Feel like,
unless it's just Loki casting illusions, you know?
See, I don't think so. I think she's the last living part of the Timekeepers and what they were. And like, I think that because we didn't even get into what is her
there's so much. We need like a 5-hour show for this.
I know.
Not B-15, but the other one who was captured. 20, I think it's C-20, D-20. Anyways, but remember we hear her saying like, it's real, it's real, it's real, it's real.
Yes.
I think what that is all of the Timekeepers, or no, they're called the Minutemen, technically. They have been told, like, I think there's a secret about the Timekeepers, not to bother them, and then she told them the secret. I think with the one, grand, sort of like Court of the Dead, there's a grand, it's all based on a lie. And I think they come in knowing that the sacred timeline is already broken. And
do you think they all will? They all will? Like, if you had a whole bucket
take those
full.
Infinity Stones back out of the TVA.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
Just skip stones with those?
Yeah.
Time stones.
C-20. Yes, her name is C-20.
Yeah.
That's also, they never explain why Sylvie took her.
Yeah. I think she, for some reason,
played by Sasha Lane of American Honey and Hellboy fame. Or American Honey, not Hellboy.
But I just think that the entire sacred timeline is already broken, and it's the Minutemen's job to just stop people from going to new places. But like, what's already broken is broken, and
I think the Timekeepers, the sacred timeline is the one where the Timekeepers remain in power. And that is why they're just protecting themselves. They're protecting their power.
I like that too. One. They're just like got their greedy claws on it, and they're like pretending that anything else is bad, so that they can just trick these Timekeepers into going and killing all those people, so they stay in power. Ooh, that's so nefarious.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one, and very on brand for the Timekeepers and any of the bad people in Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's like, I get to control the entire universe is a bad person. Yeah.
Well, did Agent 20 say she told them how to find the Timekeepers, or do we assume that's what she meant by what she said? Did she literally say that? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I told her where to find them.
I thought find the TVA, not
that's
the
what I thought. Yeah, I automatically
assumed that.
When she said that, maybe she meant the Timekeepers, or did she mean?
Because are we assuming that that's what she said?
Or the timelines, or the different timelines.
Because if Wanda has taught us anything, it's that we make assumptions by Mr. X.
Ellen says she did. She said them, or she said
Ellen.
What did she say? Yeah, Ellen. Help, Ellen.
All right.
Let's see.
What is it? DisneyPlus.com. Oh, now I gotta.
Let's see, I got it right here pulled up.
Find the Timekeepers.
I'll share my screen and we'll all watch it together.
Let's just watch it together.
Okay. Nicholas says, it's likely there's another grand power who overtook the Timekeepers, and Lady Loki has made it her mission to destroy them. The power and control isn't bad per se, but Loki seems to favor free will.
Oh, so Ellen also just said She said it was the Timekeepers.
Oh, okay.
I also
Thank you, Ellen.
I think
Thank you,
Sylvie
Ellen.
and Lady Loki are different people.
I think
mean,
so.
yeah, they are
so,
inherently
yeah.
different people.
Well, in the comics too, but I like people are wondering if they're just gonna like kind of be like, no, here's our Lady Loki. But I think we're also going to see Lady Loki later in the show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because when they first showed her, I was like, "Is that supposed to be Lady
Yeah.
Loki?" I was like, I don't know.
It just doesn't look right. Yeah.
What if there's multiple TVAs and everything is in with a higher level multiverse in the Sacred Timeline? So for the overall number of multiverse as a whole.
And it's
Okay,
all,
Christopher Nolan, get out of the chat.
You have like so many other
could
things
be like,
to be doing.
You know, compartmentalization. You know what I mean? There are multiple things. There are multiple levels, and just no one's allowed to know.
We can't hear it though if I share this, huh?
But I'm looking at
Put
it.
on
She
the
says the
subtitles.
Timekeepers where they are. She says the words.
Ready?
I told them.
Okay,
how to
the
find them.
Timekeepers.
But I'm gonna add in Alex. It's for the theater of it all.
All right, fine. It's just theater. Adding this to my list of things that annoy me.
You should be able to hear it, can't you?
Or you can just use subtitles. There you go.
There you go.
I watch
real,
everything with
real.
subtitles.
Same.
So do I.
Nobody tell YouTube or Facebook.
I want to go home. We're gonna get you there.
See there.
Wow.
And see that even that too, when she says I want to go
I
home,
gave it
I don't
away.
think she means the TVA.
No.
That's
you
not
give away?
home to her.
Mhm.
The
The
Timekeepers
Timekeepers
where they are. Sold.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Esther's like, I mean, Ellen's like, I just.
I literally just told you that.
Ellen's like,
Ellen,
come on, guys.
What
Paul
part of
did
what
not
I
believe
said
you.
was complicated?
So send an email to Paul.
Sorry, I like to do
about his
my
attitude
job.
problem.
We had a cross reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, when she said that immediately, when she was like, I want to go home, I was like, that's not the TVA. That's not what she's talking about. Like, I feel like she was given some sort of like mind-blowing, literally information that she just couldn't handle. And like, that was her way of saying like, I'm done with this. Like, I want to go home, but like her home, like not the TVA.
Yeah, it super
but
broke her. I
thought
want to
everyone-
know what that was that like just
I know.
broke
So I thought
her.
Everyone in the TVA was created. This is
Right,
something that
by
I
the
wrote down that annoyed me.
Timekeepers. But is that another like just lie to keep them
Right.
believing in
That's
them?
the
Because they're
thing.
like
Maybe that's just what they
creators?
think. Yeah.
And do they have the ability to wipe memories? Like,
But they're also everyone's human.
Yeah,
Everyone looks
so-
human. Why?
Everybody
there's
does
no-
look human.
Yeah, that's also
if they created
actually a
them,
good
why would
point.
they create them? If they're okay, if you're right, everyone's human, and
Yeah.
if they were really created by
human appearing.
timekeepers, and
Or
this
lizard
is
people.
a secret dimension that the rest of the existence doesn't get to see, then why would they bother making them all human? What's the point? Why?
And also,
why?
like, that city
Right,
is huge,
right.
right? Like, you have to imagine those aren't all agents or, like, military
I
personnel or
don't-
whatever.
I don't
Are there
think any of that
families?
exists.
Are there children?
Yeah.
Are they all just adults?
Yep.
Okay, question here. When we saw, that's true. Are there any children there, or do they all just get created as adults that are
Right?
fully?
I don't
The
know.
thing is, the word Mobius, the Mobius strip, there's an implication there, and this is me overthinking.
Yeah.
Mobius strip is something that is really complicated and represents a really complex concept, but it's super easy to make. You can make as many as you want, as fast
Right.
as you want. A child can make them. A Mobius strip is really easy to make,
Right.
but
I'll
it's
make it
very
right now.
complex. So, like, I'm overthinking the name, but like, it's not hard for
Well,
them.
but that would also explain too why Casey was like, "What's a fish?" Because like,
Yeah.
how could you go your whole life, especially because you have to think if they're managing timelines. My dude would obviously know what a fish is, right? I mean, you would
I
think,
mean,
right?
They
So
know
like,
what the Infinity Stones are.
right. So then you have to
Well, he
think.
didn't know
okay,
what they
well,
were. He
they're-
was just like, oh, they're rocks.
Yeah. So then you have to think,
Okay.
okay, they are created at a certain point, only given a certain amount of knowledge, possibly. I mean, depending on what they do. But yeah, the fact that they're all humans is super weird to me because in this massive, like, alternate dimension, you would think it would be more similar to like Guardians, like Guardians of the Galaxy, where there's just like people from everywhere. Like, why specifically humans?
Mobi.
Like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
Mobi.
what if that leads to
Mobi.
the theory that, like, the TVA was this whole thing with when the not living tribunal, the Timekeepers existed, and then once they left, they could no longer create like Mobiuses. Like Mobius was their one agent. We'll just fold in the cheese to the next episode.
Thank you,
What
Six.
do you mean?
How do
Folding
you
sheets?
fold?
I'm telling you. And so all of these other
You just
people,
felt it.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
So all of these other people, like C20, who's saying like I want to go home, are suddenly like freed from the Timekeepers because after the Timekeepers died and Miss Minute is the last person keeping it all together, they can't create new Mobiuses, so they have to pull people from these other places.
Remember, the one with Wally? Wally. Okay. Remember,
the movie
it's
with
the
Wally.
AI. It's the AI that's keeping everything going and keeping the lie going. There's no actual people in charge of anything.
I'm telling you.
What if
What's that movie
this
called
is crazy? This is crazy talk now, but like they all pulled them from the FDR high school at some Nexus event where there was an apocalypse, and they just pulled all the people when they were high schoolers, wiped their brains, let them grow into adults, and now they're all all the agents. So that's my nutty theory of the day.
Somehow wrap this up. Okay.
Right, so I need something. I need to say something.
Clarification. Okay. Go ahead.
That guy that we see get reset.
Yes.
That was Liz Lemon's agent from 30 Rock. Remember the one with the oversized
no idea
suit?
what that
They used to
means.
represent dogs. Okay. Anyways, that's it. I had to get that out.
Okay. So Anthony Barrera has brought up a point that we need to address. First of all, it should be technically easier next week because we're just going to be covering one episode. Yeah. But every Friday, for the length of this series, we will be doing an episode about Loki. A Let Your Spoiler Sideshow every Friday about Loki. Every Monday we will be doing, and for until the show is over, the Bad Batch. Every Monday is Bad Batch, Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. And every Friday is Loki. So this is not this was not level up week programming. This is ongoing programming. Mm-hmm. So
Monday's just happens to be during
Friday's
level week.
Yes.
Yep. So wrapping the show up really quickly, I have two.
I feel like we solved everything. We're good, right?
Yeah,
we've got it. Yeah,
nice,
nailed it.
First,
more things annoyed me though.
First, high quality meme. Get this man a jet ski.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
and next.
Yes.
Oh, I love it so much. And we have John Galgano, who had, over in our Let Your Spoiler Sideshow Facebook group said, I asked everyone for their theories. He said, I'm betting the show's starting to build up to the arrival of King the Conqueror, who's rumored to show up in the next Ant-Man film. He is going to be in the next Ant-Man film. He has confirmed it. Johnny Franklin says, I've been thinking lately, what if this female variant of Loki is actually more like a cross between Hela and Loki in her timeline? Perhaps Odin didn't create Hela in that timeline, and this Loki is also not an adopted frost giant like the Loki we already know, but instead is an actual biological sibling to Thor, which would lend itself as to why she said, don't call me Loki.
And she's blonde.
Have we mentioned this Facebook group that you just are reading theories from? Have we told people, if they don't know about it, how to get into this group so that they can discuss all of those? Yay! We have a Facebook group called Let Your Spoiler Sideshow, coincidentally the same name as this show, where you can have full spoiler discussions. Thank you, side-show/MCU spoiler.
And I have homework for everybody, by the way, because this is one of the things that I took notes on. I only counted 4 in the first episode, but I counted 5 of them in like a 5-minute period of how many times Loki goes with his hair. Every time he whips his hair, everyone's homework is to tally how many times he flips his hair back.
I hope he does it more.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, this is exactly how Alex tallies if he likes a show or not by the amount of annoyances that are or are not in it.
See, that's crazy. I tally it by how much I like a show is the ratio of how many times Tom Hiddleston flips his hair back. The more equals the more I like the show.
And he does it in one scene. He does it like 5 times. I'm like, oh, he really.
It should have been 10.
Well, perfect segue. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for our episode 1 and 2 of Loki. This is Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. Again, as Autumn said, we will be back on Monday with Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. But for the Bad Batch episode 8?
Yes, 8.
Sure.
The next Bad Batch episode, the one that just came out today. We'll talk about that one on Monday. And then next Friday, we are talking Loki episode 3. Again, same Asgard place, same Asgard channel. So wherever you're watching, like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, because every time you do like this video live, Krista gets another 6 scale behind her. So
that's right.
So please do. Me and Autumn will see you guys all in literally like 60 seconds. But
we'll probably be a minute late.
We'll probably be a minute late, but that is exclusively in the Let Your Geek Sideshow Facebook group, where I'm going to be honest, some of this conversation may carry over, but we have so much to wrap up. We're wrapping up the whole event.
so
We have
much to go
so much
over.
awesome Sideshow fan art. Oh, it's going to be a really great show. Really, really fun.
Side.show/geek group.
Play. Oh,
Geek
I was
group.
promoting some sideshow.
All of them. Well, thank you all so much. You are all burdened with a glorious purpose. As always, don't forget to let your geek side show.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.